Good morning. Thanks for joining us again. Um, have you noticed how much we tend to compare everything and everyone? We compare athletes. You know, who's the greatest basketball player? Is it Jordan or is it Kobe or is it Curry? Who is the greatest? And we compare teams. You know, who are better, the Yankees or the Red Sox? Definitely not the Cubs. We talk about who's the greatest football team? Is it the Packers? Obviously. We compare schools, colleges. Are the Hawkeyes better than the Cyclones and Huskers and all of that? We compare who's the smartest and the strongest, who's the fastest. And we compare cars. What's the best car? What's the best truck? What's the best pizza? Um, and we even compare churches. You know, we compare preachers and we compare authors. But when it comes to God, there is no comparison. And so we've been looking at Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 25. This is what God says. To whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal? Asks the Holy One. Look up and see. Bring out the stars. Or who brings out the stars? Who created these stars? Who brought out the stars and he numbered them? He calls them all by name. Because of his great power and his strength, not one of them is missing. Now, there are some people that would compare the gods in different religions and whatever, but it's obvious that we believe that there is one God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was the God of Moses and David, the God of Jesus, he is the Son of the Most High God. And so God almost challenges us. He says, now, who will you compare me to? Think about it. We're not comparing pizza or cars or trucks. We're comparing God. And God's saying, there is no other God beside me. There is no one else that can compare to me. There is no equal. And God is bringing that question out. Who is my equal, says the Holy One. And then he says, look up. Look up and see. Look at the stars. Okay? Who created them? God did. Okay? This notion that there is a big bang and all this stuff fell into place, it scientifically doesn't make any sense. Common sense, it doesn't make any sense. Okay? That the planets, who put them in place? Who created all that? Who created the sun and the moon and every one of the stars? And God says he's the one that created all of these stars and he numbered them. Now, there's probably some scientists that have an idea of how many stars are numbered, but they keep figuring out there's more stars, and we're not sure how far out in the universe it goes. God knows all of those things. He put all of those things in place, and not only he knows the number of the stars, he knows the name of every star. I don't know, we don't know all the names that he named them, but there's a name for every single one of them. And the ones that we know and the ones that we've named are just a tiny fraction of the number that are out there. And not only that, he makes sure that none of them are missing. Okay, none of them disappear. None of them leave. He, by his power and by his strength, not one of these stars is missing. And so when we take a look at what Isaiah is recording for us, we realize that the God that we serve has no comparison. He has no comparison. There's no one even close to be equal to him. He is so far above everyone and everything. He is the one that created all things and maintains all things and sustains all things. So only he is worthy of our worship and our praise. Who can we compare him to? Nobody. Who can we compare him to? Nothing. Because there is no one like him. There is nothing like God. And it's kind of interesting that Isaiah shows us that. And he continues to ask that question, who will you compare God to? Don't you know? Haven't you heard? Yeah, God is one of a kind. There is no other. Therefore, we ought to worship him. We ought to praise him. We ought to give thanks to him because there is no comparison to him. Thanks for joining us. We'll continue in Isaiah tomorrow, and stay tuned.